read about a culture where if you have a dream that affects the life of the community, you have an obligation to act out that dream so the community can interpret it. The name Public Dreams comes from Jung. He said, if dreams are private myths, then myths are public dreams.
August 26th, 1981, Edmonton Journal. One dog, one baby, some children, and about 35 childlike adults embarked on a journey Tuesday evening, a quasi-allegorical quest, less for the spirit of Edmonton than for the spirit of the city in general, the city of God, the city of man.
In a wake for the dead of winter, we burned our fear. It was a ritual for my mother.
In these, the darkest days of the year, it's easy to give up hope. The Snow Queen is a story of our real lives, a story of winter, the heart's journey, of love and warmth overcoming cold misconception. It's a story of the return of spring.
Burn Your Regrets was an instant tradition because it was real. Journey to the New World was the story of how we all got here, from the creation of the world to the journey of our ancestors from the old world. That we may all have different culture, but we're all of this earth. It was Expo year, and the neighborhood was under pressure. The living king of hell was from a Chinese folktale about a greedy landlord. Kuan Yin represented life and nature. They were both chosen because they'd be recognized.
Once upon a time, before time began.
喺好耐好耐以前，好耐開天闢地之前。
My work has all been about creating the world I want to live in, creating the world I want my kids to grow up in. Illuminaries is a transformative journey that doesn't rely on language. When we first proposed Illuminaries, nobody knew what we meant.
Even before dusk, people from around the neighborhood begin to gather on the shores of the lake. Some have come not really sure what to expect, knowing only that tonight they would be hearing and seeing the music and dance of the East End's many ethnic communities in some sort of lantern procession.
But the lake was being closed to swimming every summer. The Trout Lake Restoration Project was a collaboration of artists, community members, biologists, engineers, and scientists. It resulted in a 20-year plan for lake restoration and a lot of community-made art. Illuminaries became as important an event as Christmas in my children's calendar. People have developed traditions around Illuminaries, getting together to make beautiful vessels, symbols of their inner light, to walk around the lake with. Illuminaries at Trout Lake now attracts thousands of people, and now there are lantern festivals in many other communities. I have always worked where I lived. For this celebration in our neighborhood, the influences come from Eastern European traditions around harvest festivals, the Celtic tradition, which places this as the New Year, and the Latin tradition of Day of the Dead. But of course, there are differences from Day of the Dead because we don't live in a community where our ancestors are buried, so we can't make a procession to the graves of our ancestors, but we can find other ways to remember them at the shrine. Separated as we are from the old ways, the old traditions, by 5 or 7 generations, or even by 1 generation, I feel that we all still have that urge, but we don't have the cultural form to express that urge. When my dad died, I realized how abandoned we are with a lack of meaningful cultural traditions. What is the role of the artist in sacred, secular, spiritual expression? Funeralia began as a research project. It's about creating organic funerals that reflect who we really are. The idea of green and woodland burial is just being introduced in Canada, and artists need to be involved in the beginning of the conversation, as artists need to be involved in all of the important events of our lives.